A long time ago, when there were no humans on the earth, a small group of Sumerian gods, the Anunnaki, came to the earth from the kingdom of heaven. Their mission was to create civilization on earth. The great gods began to build their home on the earth. They dug ditches, built roads and bridges. Although they had divine power, the number of great gods was very small and the workload was huge. After working for a while, the masters still felt that it was too much. At this time, a master named Enki came up with a way to find a ranking player. Everyone clapped and praised this genius idea. So the great god Enki used materials from the divine world to create the secondary god Ikiji to take over, and appointed his brother Enlil as the engineering CEO to manage Ikiji. The number of Yajiji is far more than that of Anunnaki, but because the amount of the project to transform the earth is so huge, first of all, the Euphrates and Tigris rivers need to be dug out with bare hands. And secondly, a network of canals extending in all directions must be dug. The third is to dredge the river regularly, and the fourth is to open and build mountains. With so much work, everyone worked day and night, day and night. They have been doing this for 3,600 years, more than 996, and are approaching the highest level of human mining, 007. Finally, they couldn't stand it anymore and decided to rebel. On a dark and stormy night, a group of primary level demigods secretly surrounded the castle where CEO Enlil was staying and wanted to negotiate. Fortunately, Enlil had contact information with other Anunnaki. He activated the dialogue box and contacted other Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are reasonable. After hearing that the Ichiki's demands were reasonable, the Anunnaki fell silent and could not come up with a good solution for the time being. At this time, the great god Enki came up with another idea. Let's create people, and create more of them, so that everyone's labor burden will be reasonable and all the work can be completed. When the Anunnaki heard that this was a good idea, they unanimously approved the proposal. But at this time, all the materials in heaven were used up. The work of creating humans must be done with the original material soil on the earth. But soil has no spirituality. The Anunnaki must inject their flesh and blood in order to impart spirituality to the created humans. So a member of the Protoss must make a sacrifice. At this time, a highly intelligent Anunnaki volunteered himself to Enki and the god of fertility. He used his flesh, blood and spirit to give birth to real human beings. After creating a human population large enough to reproduce, Enki appointed a man named Alulim to be the king of mankind. From then on, the work on the earth was taken over by humans, and the Ikijis were also free, but Enki did not let go. He was still looking after humans from time to time. When Sumerian researchers deciphered the Epic of Rahasis, they were surprised because this story solved the mystery of the famous Sumerian king list, and Rahasis was the last Sumerian king on the king list. He was also the last king before the Great Flood. Some scholars took a pen to calculate and shocked everyone. Oh my god, according to Sumerian mythology, the ancestors of our human race, intelligent and capable humans, appeared on the earth 400,000 years ago. As soon as this conclusion came out, all the archaeologists and anthropologists laughed their ass off about 400,000 years ago, which is funny to me, because the authoritative theory is that Homo erectus first succeeded in Africa about 300,000 years ago, evolved into modern humans. The technical name is Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is the name given by anthropologists to our modern humans. It is a species under the genus Homo and the only human species that exists today to distinguish it from species such as Homo habilis and Homo erectus. Anthropologists say again that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and lived for another 200,000 years. They left Africa about 70,000 years ago and settled in every corner of the earth. But think about it. What about more than 400,000 years ago? At that time, the earth was full of hominid hominins, including Homo erectus. How could a large-scale human society with a king appear in the Middle East today? Then it is clear that the ancient Sumerians had no mathematical foundation. They did not know how to count, so they wrote a bunch of numbers randomly to fool people. But there was a very happy man named Zikin. He casually took Lahasis and the Sumerian king list, combined the Bible with modern high technology, and wrote a set of science fiction masterpieces called Earth Chronicles. The old man created a planet called Nibiru at the stroke of a pen, turning the Anunnaki into Nibiru aliens. Due to the imbalance of gravity, Nibiru needed rare metal gold to transform the planet and restore gravity, so the Anunnaki sent Enki to search for gold in the galaxy. Enki fell in love with the Earth, so his brother Enlil also came to the Earth, overseeing the mining of gold. The old man then made another big show. Enki genetically modified the mature Homo erectus on the Earth, implanted the Anunnaki genes into the genome of the erectus on the Earth, and created Homo sapiens, which is our modern human being. Variety. This novel statement combines ancient mythology and archaeology with alien legends, and it immediately attracts young people with bright minds. In the fall of 2000, an Israeli construction company was busy building a new highway called the Sumerian Highway. This road starts from the seaside, passes through the city of Tel Aviv, and reaches the Palestinian West Bank. When the project progressed near a city called Qasim, the engineering team discovered that there was a huge rock under the roadbed blocking the way. The captain was also very straightforward and blew it up. With a loud noise, the rock was blown to pieces. But when a team member was cleaning up the rubble left after the blast, he suddenly discovered a large, dark hole under his feet. He immediately summoned the captain and his teammates to come over and check. He turned on the flashlight and looked inside. They were all startled. The captain looked even more desperate. He saw that there were practical tools neatly arranged in the cave. The ground is still full of animal bones. According to Israeli law, as long as a site of archaeological value is discovered, no matter what the project is, it must be stopped immediately. The captain had no choice but to notify the government. An experienced archaeological team from Tel Aviv University rushed to the scene immediately. The leader of the archaeological team is Ran Bar-Kei. He is the most famous expert in the Department of Archaeology at Tel Aviv University. From now on, we will call him Leo Bar. Leo Bar hurried to the entrance of the cave to take a look. Unlike the engineering captain who was dejected, he was ecstatic because based on his experience, the stone tools in this cave should be at least tens of thousands of years old. But the roof of the cave has been damaged by explosives, which is somewhat regrettable. Then Leo Bar led a team to start rescue excavations in 2001. Leo Bar named the cave Qasim, which means magic or divine realm. The stone tools found in the cave are very special. Leo Bar found an almost completely symmetrical diamond-shaped stone tool, like a triangular pyramid. When Leo Bar picked it up and took a look, it looked exactly like one of the cultural relics unearthed in Clichy town in Turkey. Exactly the same. Could it be that the cave was left by Neolithic humans 10,000 years ago? Leo Bar carefully collected samples from the cave and brought them back to the laboratories for age testing. The laboratories uses a more advanced method. It's called the soil age measurement method. Then the soil dating method can be used to deal with it. This method can measure samples from 10,000 to 450,000 years ago with a very small error of only 1%. A few days later, the age test results came out, which gave Leo Bar a huge shock, because the results showed that this was a cave 420,000 years ago. It seemed that Homo sapiens had lived here. This was a cave belonging to the Paleolithic age, remains of early times, but the cave was abandoned after being used for a period of time. This is the reason why Leo Bar was confused. Why did Homo sapiens appear in Israel 400,000 years ago? This is not far from the mainstream theory that it took 70,000 to 80,000 years for humans to leave Africa. However, the timeline is highly consistent with the origin of humans in Sumer as told in the Lachesis epic. As a mainstream and strictly trained archaeologist, Leo Bar's first reaction was to shake his head like a rattle. If he says it's impossible, it's absolutely impossible. Dad calmed down, returned to the cave, and brought back some new samples to the laboratories. Among the soil he packed back this time, there were several human teeth and animal remains. Leo Bar's idea at this time was that the cave might be from 400,000 years ago, but the giants living inside could not be from 400,000 years ago. A few days later, the results came back. Leobar was the first to check. The age test showed that the teeth were anatomically the same as those of modern humans, and they were the teeth of Homo sapiens. Yes, but what shocked him again was that the human teeth were the same age as the cave, both 400,000 years ago. Leobar and the team had to sit down and catch their breath, but they all slowly accepted this reality. After studying the cave carefully, they found that the hunting of the Qasim cave residents was seasonal, with large-scale operations, cemeteries, and planning. Very strong. They never slaughter their prey in their caves. They usually slaughter their prey with iron tools, cut the meat into pieces, and then return it to their caves for consumption. And they never eat raw meat. They always roast it over fire before eating it. What if you can't finish it in one sitting? They also have ways to preserve food. One way is to wrap the bone marrow and make it like canned food. Another way is to dry the food in firewood ash. These two methods can keep food good for several weeks. The Qasim made a variety of stone tools, such as blades, scrapers, and hammer stones. Unlike other hominid species, such as Homo erectus, the stone tool production of the Qasim people has a mature industrial chain, usually mass production. Various tools have very clear specifications, and the production capacity is very high. Just like a production line, models include division of labor, as well as processes and the prototype of craft concepts. This is definitely not what we now think the primitive people in the early Paleolithic age could achieve. What shocked Leobar even more was the discovery of a well-made handle in the Qasim cave. The handle of the hand axe is actually made of ivory bone. The hand axe has no trace of use. It does not look like a tool, but a ritual vessel for sacrifice. Could it be said that the people of Qasim cave had religious beliefs? This is so subversive of mainstream perception. With this question in mind, Leobar returned to the cave and searched carefully. Sure enough, he noticed a place where there was a secret place that could be climbed above the stone wall of the cave. After Leobar climbed up on his hands and knees, he saw exactly what he wanted to see. There was an altar on it with multiple ivory bone-headed axes and a batch of polyhedral stone balls. Dad speculated that the head axe and the polyhedral stone balls were items worshipped by the gods, because they were not products produced in the Qasim people's stone tool industry chain, but were more likely to be brought here as sacrificial items after an unexpected harvest from somewhere enshrined. This means that as early as 400,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, the ancestors of our modern humans. In addition to strong productivity, there is also primitive shamanic belief and worship of gods. Let us connect these clues together. Human sacrificial work 400,000 years ago was organized and divided among the known records of civilization. Only the author of the book The Origin of the Sumerian Kings and Gods interviewed Leobar. Leobar came up with an idea that was not published in a formal paper. About 400,000 years ago, there were prophets like Moses who guided cave people to achieve such a high technical level. So Leobar named the cave the Magic Cave. Shenki Cave believes that people in the cave have received guidance from the gods. If we, like Shichin, regard the mythical stories on the Sumerian clay tablets as reliable history, regard the discovery of Qasim Cave as evidence, and continue to write the Earth's chronicles, it will probably be like this. More than 40 years ago, after the Mel people were created by the Anunnaki, they began to take over Iggy's work. After hard work in the two river basins, the Beradis and Tigris rivers were roughly where they are today 400,000 years ago. A small group of Sumerians became tired of the day in and day out work, and they had the idea of escape from the two rivers, river basin ideas. So they came out of Sumer under the leadership of a Moses-like leader. The prophet led the people to the cave of Qasim, where they stayed for a long time. The new high priests, descendants of ancient Moses, led the people to other parts of the world. During this migration process, modern humans spread from the Sumerian region to all parts of the world. After several years of research, Leobaki Qasim cave site was named a Chulo-Abrudian subculture group, abbreviated as AYC. It is a type of cultural group site from the early Paleolithic age in Israel and Syria. Leobar's discovery was eventually published in the journal Nature. People like us were already doing well in Qasim cave in Israel 400,000 years ago. Yes, it's not Homo erectus, let alone Homo hominis, it's Homo sapiens. Although Leobar was very reserved in his official paper and did not mention the creation of man or the Sumerian king list. Once his article was published, it immediately attracted criticism from all walks of life. The media and evolutionists regarded Leobar as he cursed like crazy. Fortunately, Tel Aviv University is very open-minded and will continue to provide Leobar with sufficient research funds as long as there is no academic fraud. With the support of big donors, Leobar continued to stick to his argument. The true situation of prehistoric humans may be that after the ancient Moses took the ancient Sumerians away, their descendants settled all over the world. The so-called Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans did not have any evolutionary progress. They are just different human groups, just like today's yellow people, black people, white people, etc. In fact, there may be races in more than one place in summer. In mythology, there may be many human races on the earth at the same time. They were either created by Nuwa, Jehovah, Brahma, or many other gods, and they all live together on the earth. If you think today's topic or our channel is interesting, please subscribe and follow. We will update next time. Don't get lost. Let's call it a night. Finally, although humans were not necessarily created by the Anunnaki, the possibility of being created by some kind of higher intelligence far exceeds the evolutionary hypothesis.